democracy has failed. What is the alternative? Okay, so that's a question. Doesn't mean I necessarily agree with it 100%. Anyway, so Price's law. So that's a idea about it's a psychological, society-based law about how societies operate, right? Tells us statistically most useful work is done by minorities. So the majority will necessarily lead you to bad decisions. So democracy will not magically solve our problems. What we want are good and educated leaders, be they kings or chosen by society. So it looks like I'm kind of saying democracy is not even workable, but that's not exactly what I'm saying. So let me get into a bit more detail as usual. Although there is benefit in always being a student and learning from those around you, making decisions because they are popular can stop you from making the right ones. So I'm not sure if that first sentence makes too much sense. So it's like there's good in listening to people, okay, but don't just listen to people all the time in the sense of being like trying to take the popular decision from the public, right? That's a bad idea, okay, because sometimes the public doesn't want to do the right thing because they don't know necessarily what the right thing is, okay, they're not educated enough. So democracy can cause problems rather than solve them. First, you need good people so that they make good choices. Even if there was a monarchy, there is not, there is, I can't, that is not bad if they were good. Good people make good choices and consult with people about things they don't know. So if there's a king that's in charge, he doesn't know everything, but if he's a good person, he's going to have a good attitude and ask the right people. And that's how governments work anyway. They depend on the civil servants anyway. So they only the only solution is to play the long game and make society better, which is what I keep repeating in this section, which will inevitably fix the disease of corruption, which is why we doubt democracy in the first place. So, your thoughts, Uncle?
I think I touched on the democracy side of things as
Yeah.
opposed to the socialist or the communist aspect. I don't think either of them work, though democracy possibly is the better, but socialism is more humane, that it looks after the people. And if you go to America, for example, you see a lot of poverty. I mean, we see all the glit and glamour of Hollywood and all things and of the rich people on TV. That's your media for you. Uh, but the reality is, I drove from Boston to New York, and along the route, I drove past a ghetto, which would have been at least a mile to 2 miles long, and the depth of it I couldn't tell from my drive. And I don't think I've seen anything worse in my life.
And that's
And
supposedly the richest country in the world.
that's the point I'm trying to make. Exactly. I'm from Africa, and I think the poor in Africa had a better life compared to what I saw in that ghetto. I went to Russia, so communism. I saw people lining up the streets with one item of vegetable or fruit, trying to sell it to survive. Right? And that's socialism not working for the people because of the poverty. So, so either of those don't work. But what what I feel is that the powers that are in place, they must always work for the benefit of the people. We see too much of the powers to look after themselves. You see nepotism. You look at the Pakistani elections at the moment. You got one party of family orientated, another party family orientated. The
And you
Bhuttos.
have that even in America.
Well, look
Like
at America. I mean,
you got the Bushes,
the
you know,
Bushes and
and the
the
Clintons.
Kennedys and the
Yeah,
Clintons.
yeah.
And even Trump had. Who was he aligned with? He had all
Mm,
his family members doing jobs that they were never trained to do,
yeah.
never had the experience to do, and yet we allowed that to happen. So there's no best solution other than that those in power should not become greedy, and there must be some outlet for that. I think it was, famously Abraham Lincoln is said to have, he's the most famous to have used it, but many others used it before him. I think Disraeli did it when he was in power. That who coined the phrase "government for the people, by the government of the people, by the people, for the people." Do you see it happen?
Yeah.
It's a great phrase. It's a great morale booster and
Yeah,
PR
so the question
thing.
is like, there's these nice ideas, but how do we make really rich, powerful people who don't have to follow the ideas once they get in power? How do we get them to do that, right? And so they have to give them an alternative perspective. Why do they search for more and more power? Okay, because they think that's what's going to make them happy. So if you can create a society, and the society starts from the bottom and it says, you know what, we're not going to be crazy materialists searching for more and more things. We're not going to be corrupt ourselves, right? You create an environment where an alternative way of finding happiness can be achieved. Like you demonstrate it, you go, and you can see Western lifestyle, people are miserable. Depression is going through the roof. This is statistically true, right? And they've got the stuff. These are rich people who are being really miserable. So pure materialism doesn't work. I'm not saying don't buy things, don't try to make the world better, don't invent things. I'm an inventor. I think that's important. But we have to realize that's not the stuff that makes you happy. The connection, this is what psychologists say, it's the connection between people that makes us happy. Doing things for other people makes us happy. And so that's one idea. And there's another idea. So the one idea that what makes us happy, and if leaders could see that, like doing things for other people makes them happy, that's really important. But another idea is understanding of how society works, and this is really important principle, that if we crush the people on the bottom, they're the people actually keep things going. So when we were clapping for heroes, in the UK, we were doing this thing, we were clapping for the dustbin men and all the other people who are keeping society going, the nurses and everything. They are, if without them, society collapses. And that's a really important religious principle, that everybody has a function. And so modern capitalistic, and I don't like to use the word capitalistic because I don't think capitalism by itself is wrong. Okay, there's a kind of capitalism I don't want to go into, right, which it's been forbidden for a long time in so many different religions, called usury or interest-based systems, right? That ruins capitalism. Okay? Capitalism is a
The
useful
rich
function.
become richer. Rich become richer in that society.
Yes, so that reminds me again another point you put. So when you have no morality, then the rich people, they take their riches and they control government and they make the laws work for them, and so they become increasingly rich, and the poor become increasingly poor because they've got no power. So morality,
And that's what you saw. That's what I saw in the ghettos. The poor becoming poorer, one extreme to the other.
that's it.
Yeah.